Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to
We're here.
Universal Lens. Yes, we're here. If I wait for you, we might not be.
We might not be here now.
We might not be
We're
here.
dealing with other stuff.
Thank you, everybody, for coming back. Hope everybody enjoyed their week. Had a beautiful week, nice week. Freezing your butts off up here in the Northeast. Thoughts and prayers to the people out west. Hopefully they get those fires under control soon. So we're thinking of you guys out there. Sending best wishes. And starting the new year. So last week, we donned our new T-shirts, which I actually got a lot of positive responses on. A lot of people really, really liked them. Like my former therapist was like, keep that going. That's a great message. You know, looking forward to hear what's coming up next.
That's awesome.
Because I went back and forth with a few people on kind of what we're kind of like where it kind of started and what the idea was going forward. So we got a lot of positive feedback. Yeah. And thankfully, I didn't get any
crazy
political parallels to it, which was great. I mean, I'm sure that in their heads it might have been, but I didn't get any.
The insinuation is there.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a play off of the word.
Well, it's a play off of the word, but it's not. It's zero. Has nothing to do with
no relation.
No relation.
This is exactly where mindfulness kind of.
I'm just using it as a hook.
No, mindfulness kind of shines here. So if somebody has something to say to you about the message on your shirt, you have such a clean spirit and such a clean intention with the shirt that you could cleanly answer. There's no political message.
No, but yeah, I didn't get that. So the beautiful part is I didn't get any of that. I got zero of that, which was great. And people were just going, "Oh my God, that's a great message. I love it. Blah, blah, blah. That's a great T-shirt. I love it. Blah, blah." So I was like, all right, cool. I was like, okay. Like it was nice because the whole intent of it is to attract attention to the show, attract attention to, kind of what this was intended to be in 2022 when it first started, whether it was the show, the book, and all that. Like it's to bring more attention to it. That's it.
Right.
Zero other. It's just to bring more attention, have maybe people listen in, which would be great, and get something from it. And it seems to be working. So to make America mindful again, that message holds a lot of weight. Like there's a lot there because this is we live in a society where it's not very, even though it is getting more, I don't want to say popular, or it's grabbing more attention, or it's getting, that's what I'm looking for. It's getting more traction.
Yeah.
And it's getting more traction, but not enough. We're still a very unconscious society.
It can never be enough, probably.
Yeah. No, it can never.
Even if you reach 50%.
The only time it's enough is when every living being on this planet
there you go.
is aware of their thinking and mind and isn't just a slave to their mind.
Will be afterthoughts.
Yes. I hate to agree with you, but I think I have to agree with you. But so getting that message out to make America mindful again and is, for me, it's paramount because it really can change the direction will change the direction, not just in people's individual lives, which is beautiful, but you add those individual lives up and it becomes a group, a society, a community. Now it becomes a, systemic push where and that's, which starts from the foundation, works its way all the way up, which we said 1,000 times. How do you, what? Mindfulness?
It's the drop
of the water and then
the ripples.
Well, that's what the symbol of mindfulness means. So the drop of the water ripples through. Exactly.
So if that's it, if you're mindful, they will ripple, and then he's mindful, and it ripples,
and it
ripples, and those ripples eventually start to affect other people around you in your circle, in your bubble, in that circle, and then you might have another person understand mindfulness, get into it,
or want to know more about it.
Right.
Could be
at the very least.
Yeah,
right.
Whether it's somebody you run into in the gym or somebody in the street
who's clothed in the locker room.
While if you like to walk around without clothes, that is your business. We'd appreciate it if you approach us with underwear on at least. But
at least.
But it's yes, like you just said, it'd be an amazing thing if we could get this to really bring more attention to the need, in my eyes, the paramount need above all else. Whatever is wrong in the world practically this is a cure for a lot of those practical issues. It really is, because a conscious person doesn't do a lot of the things that a conscious person doesn't do any of the things that are issues in our society. You choose differently. You see things differently.
Yeah.
You act differently, right? It's a lot of the problems that we have would melt away. Now, I'm not saying it'd be a perfect society, because we're humans, so we're imperfect by nature. But I mean, how good can it be? How beneficial can it be? How morally beautiful can it be? It could be now again, I'm looking through the hour, through the lens of, into the future.
Yeah.
But if we could start here and get more people to understand this message, I just think it.
That was always the launching pad. And the funny part is, so, we started very lightly, very unstructured, very, like
two mics on the pool table.
Right. Like we always said,
Right
the same thing that we did when we have an espresso together and just, kick it.
That's what we used to do for 2 hours. Yeah, that's how it started.
So we say, let's podcast. So it started there and it evolves. And the funny part is, as the evolution is happening, which is currently today, even right now, we're evolving even still. You say to yourself, it's a very niche market. Not many people are going to want to tune in for this, because in your mind, you're carrying the Joe Rogan model. You're carrying
they don't want to be bothered with this.
You know what I'm saying? Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, when you think of a podcast, you're not thinking this. This is the niche of the niche. This is,
unless you're hurting.
Yeah.
Unless you're hurting. Right. Oh, that's our market.
Unfortunately,
That's our market.
yeah, but that's every spiritual teacher, every
And religion.
therapist. Yeah.
But
I mean, that's
when
their
most
market.
people become religious.
So I mentioned the size of the market, and I mentioned the scope of things where, hey, people are paying attention to these things and not so much you.
No.
So
yeah.
Even with that, I noticed that as time passes and we give that no mind, we pay zero attention to that. We pay attention to this.
We water this.
Even as slow like molasses and as organic as it may be.
Yeah.
There's
a
a layering that happens.
Sure there is. It's a process, yeah.
And eventually, because there is a layering, and it may not happen as quickly as we would like it to see, but because there is a layering, we are reaching more people. And when they get the show in their hands and they're exposed to it, then they go one step further. And that's what I always say is, you don't have to sit here and listen. Put it on, let it be in the background. It's just three guys talking. And I guarantee you it penetrates in your subconscious. You may not even know it. But there's going to be ideas that you think you came up with, but you heard it here. It was a technique.
Insights, yeah.
Right.
You start to get insights. I mean, I get insights because of things that I've surrounded myself with over the last 6, 7, 8 years. That's where my insights come from. I mean, because you see things differently, so now you start paying attention and noticing things differently, and you start on a conscious level thinking differently, right? So you start your world, your reality starts to change all of a sudden. Like, you feel like you're becoming an evolved version of what you were.
Yes.
And dying off of that old person, even though your personality comes with you.
Yes.
But you're a new, it's like a rebirth almost, right? So, I mean,
I'm a jokester.
Yeah.
I continue to be a jokester.
Absolutely.
I continue to be a person who ribs and loves the debate, But all that being said, you're
a master debater.
I'm a master debater. Master debater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. That took a little time.
What were you thinking? Oh, I'm joking.
You dirty.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
No,
Go
but
ahead.
this practice has given me such more value to my life that I didn't know. It was unlocked. It was untapped.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so for that, I think it should be in everybody's hands. We always used to joke about how you want to bury it in somebody's, Yeah,
which doesn't work. by
You
the way.
need to know this.
Doesn't work.
No, they need to see a need for it in their lives.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah. Or, like I said, have a little exposure to it.
And slowly
yeah.
it sinks in.
And I'm glad we did that episode the other day where you shine the light, not that you needed this because you're in the dumps, but you're exposed to it on the positive side. And you can see the positive benefits from starting from a neutral or positive outlook, not I'm in the dumps, life sucks. No, you were here in this neutral, positive, and you realize, hey, it could be that much better.
Yeah, I mean, listen, while most people who, whatever word you want to use, become awakened, meaning that they awaken to their mind's game, to the game in their head, and realize that, hey, I'm not this thing in my head that says all these things about me and blah, 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 blah. Whatever word you want to use doesn't make a difference. But people who do go through that process, and it is a process, right? It doesn't happen overnight, but it's so beneficial. It's so, I wish I could find the right words to really explain what this is, but you don't need, like you were just saying, you don't need to be suffering. Now, while most people who do enter this world enter out of pain, and they actually look at that pain then and are thankful that they experienced that pain. Like I would, as much as I hated what I went through, I wouldn't, like if somebody tells me, we'll give you a chance, you could do it all over again, I want to do that again, because I wouldn't see life the way I see it if that experience didn't happen to me. I'd still be blind thinking that like life is actual, like this is what life is, what I could do, what I make, what I earn, what I say, what I post, like that's what life is on a practical basement level. Like this is, no, it's like, hold on, there's floors and floors and floors above it that I'd rather be on. But the only way you get there is you have to go through that again. I'm like, all right, then let me go through that again. And by the way, I went through that, like you have, and you have, we've all gone through our trials and tribulations. And that wasn't the only one. Then there was another one. Then there was another one. But there's always that one, I say there's a catalyst. Everybody goes through that one catalyst. Then the ones after that are just life being life. And you're going to go through things and you're going to experience things. But I think then you're just more, more equipped, better equipped to handle them. But there's that one catalyst. And for the people who have that issue, or that issue, that situation, that traumatic event, whatever it might be, that is that catalyst for them. Sucks that you have to go, that you went through that or you're experiencing that, but pay attention and notice to what's on the other side of that as you go through it and what you could evolve into. For people who aren't going through anything traumatic, or their life is, like you said before, that even 5, just a 5. Life's a 5. Yeah, it's okay. I go to work. I got a good job. Yeah.
Some days are 4, some days are 6.
Some days are nothing like, it's not here, it's not there. Okay, well, what if we could show you that life isn't boring? It's not it's a 5. It's pay attention to the experiences, and maybe you're going to enjoy them on a different level. Maybe you're going to see things differently. You're going to experience this mundane task that like Dr. Joe Dispenza always say, rinse, repeat, get up in the morning, wash my face, take my shower, get in the same bus, go to work, come home, eat dinner, go to bed, rinse, repeat, do it again, because that's what my mind tells me I do. And you're not paying attention to any of it while it's happening. You're just going through the motions. So people like that might be going through the motions. The person who has a traumatic event, they're thrust into, whoa, this is intense. Like I want to break out of this. I'm not digging what's going on. So they're forced to kind of transcend it, if they are willing to do the work and understand that there is a through, not an over, but a through. Those people are they're given a, I hate to use the word a gift, but a gift in that pain to be like,
it's a gift.
It's a gift. You like your life could be wow now. Like it really can. I'm not saying wow, like everything's great, but like you're not going to hang up on the small things in life. You're not going to get, because you're more than that. Right? But those people who either life is great, like I have everything I want. I'm loaded. I have a model wife. I have great kids, pro athlete kids, 14 cars in the garage, great job, family, parents are still, everything is awesome. But I would even ask those people, pay attention. Do you always feel like you need the next thing in life? Like, what's the next thing? Okay, what's the next thing? even at the top, there's still you're not in pain, but you're still, your mind still has you playing a game. It's still.
So pre-mindfulness, you're living life one-dimensional. Post-mindfulness, you realize it's three, 4, 5, 6. It's so rich.
It's like the multiverse.
Yeah, it's the difference between drinking a sip of Nesquik and you're like, that's good. And then you drink this Swiss, beautiful, velvety chocolate. You're like, oh my
like
God.
Godiva.
Yeah, and you're like, it has layers and textures. Like, oh my, this is brilliant.
That's a great example, actually.
And
I like that.
they're both drinks, but one is just
so much better,
over the top. And that's kind of where you're at.
I like that.
And let me tell you this also.
I like that a lot.
So you know how you said you have that moment, that catalyst moment, right?
If you're suffering.
If you're suffering. So while it's true that you had that, you can have that catalyst moment, and that catalyst moment leads you to have interest in something that's going to help you, such as mindfulness. Okay. But that usually happens when you're in a mature, advanced age. So whether it be 20s, 30s, 40s, but it's not happening prior to that. So
the catalyst you're talking about? Oh, okay.
Because I think the catalyst has come with a certain level of maturity. In order for you to make that step.
Okay.
I'll explain this from my personal point of view, from my seat.
Mm-hmm.
So from my seat, I can openly tell you, I had a mother who loved me incredibly, but she also abused me. Okay. But when I was a kid, eventually as I grew up, she stopped hitting me every day. Right? Eventually it wore off and I became a man, but that was a tragic story, but I'll tell you that one day. The point is that now I find mindfulness in my 40s, right? Yeah, in my 40s. I can go back and view those moments with a mindful lens. That should have been a catalyst for me. It wasn't. You follow me?
You weren't ready.
I had no idea. You're continuing a blind life, a one-dimensional life.
Yeah, you're going to survive. You were probably more in survival mode than you were anything else back then.
Correct.
Yeah.
But you can go back and analyze things a little differently. Not that I recommend it, but I'm able to because I love doing this stuff.
Well, you could look at that situation without attaching to, let's just say, whatever trauma there might have been.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I say that to say this. It's not for my trauma. It's for anybody else's trauma.
Exactly. No, I know what you mean.
So that you can look back on that trauma with a mindful lens and perhaps disassociate yourself from that trauma. Yourself, not your human body, not your shell.
Yeah.
You can disassociate yourself from that and live less.
So here's a question. And we talk a lot. We talk on the show a lot about, it's all about mindfulness and awareness, consciousness, acceptance, surrender, all those beautiful things.
Surrender. There you go.
Surrender. Okay. And we've had shows where we kind of give a lot of examples on what it actually is, right? So if somebody came to you and said, so how do I be more mindful? What would your answer be?
That's very difficult. But I could, it's a difficult concept because
you told me you have difficulty explaining it sometimes.
To explain what mindfulness is, but how you could be mindful.
Oh, how?
While I know
what mindfulness is
so while
tricky.
While I know mindfulness and tenets, I'm going to have a hard time explaining this to you, even though I'm a linguist, in a language that you can.
So, but if
understand.
I ask you, if I came to you and I'm like, yo, Henry, just I hear
sum it up.
I hear you guys talking on the show all the time, and it sounds great, and I can't take this shit in my head anymore.
No.
Like, how do I become more mindful?
So I see. I'm not. Let's say you have a little more coaching, which is helpful.
Yeah, but it's not even about coaching.
I would answer you like this.
Yes. I don't mean to put you. I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
But
I want to get this
because I'm in this conversation often, and I'll tell you how I handle it. So, well, very simple. What do you mean in your mind? What's going on? What do you mean in your mind? And I would want to understand
yeah, I understood.
There's
that.
something going on in your mind?
You get a little bit of background, okay.
Very good. There's something going. Did you mean to think about that, or did something just pop in there?
That's a goodie. That's
That's
an
it.
oldie.
So I would walk down that road because I don't know how else to.
What practices can you and I mean, even like I know the things that I did back in the day to like hone my mindfulness a little bit, and they could be mundane from the thinking, like practical mind. They feel mundane, and your mind's gonna tell you, no, this is boring. This is boring. But what are some things that we could do on a daily basis to become more to practice being mindful?
So I think the
act of being mindful.
So in my opinion, the first thing that has to happen is that your brain has to, or let's say your thinking pattern has to be put on track, because right now it's a one-dimensional.
Yeah, what you think, what you think is what you believe. Okay.
So we got to put you on the right track, and the first step that I would recommend is basically the one that I did, the one that I know of. Meditation,
which is if done properly, a phenomenal portal. If done properly.
And when I went to the door of meditation, I go, I don't know how to open this door. I don't know what.
There's no lock.
And then then you realize. So that's the first step. You talk about rookie ball, like literally.
So meditation is I used to meditate a lot in the beginning. I don't as much anymore because my daily tasks are mindful now. So one I used to tell, one was taught to me, one of the first things I ever learned, and I said this on the show 10 times, like I was taught mindfulness 101 when I was in therapy. This is after I read The Power of Now and all that, but I was taught mindfulness 101 by doing daily mundane tasks, by bringing your attention to the task you're doing and not the story your mind is giving you about the task you're doing.
I learned that from you.
Yeah. So
because I did that.
Put the Hershey kiss in my mouth. And it's in the book, that one, the Hershey kiss one. Like she's like, okay, I want you to just take this candy. I'm like, fucking candy. I'm here to, okay, unwrap it. Do this. She gave me a list of instructions. Put it in your mouth, feel it, do this, do that. And when it was done, she's like, do you know what we just did? She goes, you just mindfully had a piece of candy. She goes, I gave you cues and you paid attention to, and she would name it. When we did the wrapper, what did you feel? When you put it in your mouth, what did you feel? Bring your attention to this. She goes, it's bringing the attention to what you actually want it to be on. Not that your mind's going, oh, yummy candy, let's eat it. Yummy candy, let's eat it. Yummy, yummy candy, this tastes good. That's what your mind is saying, but we want to focus on something else. And that's where you start to go. That's where that, the Velcro, this is the Henry Velcro example, where you go, that's it. That's when the Velcro ripped open.
That's right.
Once it rips open, it never closes again unless you're unless you just like fall really unconscious again. Once it rips open, you could just you could keep pulling it apart.
But you need to feel it. You need to feel it. And I'll explain to you how I felt it. So in the beginning, you sit down for a meditation. This is day one. Right, I got to meditate. All right, let's meditate. Right? You're in a one-dimensional world.
Yeah.
And you sit down and you say, okay. And they said, breathe. They said, breathe into your nose and out to your mouth. That's what they said. All right, so far so good. And I got something playing in the background. And all of a sudden, here comes a thought. And I'm like, oh, well, think about that. That's fine. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, that's the problem. And now you're in, but you need to go through that.
But it's not the problem.
No, you need to do that.
Exactly. But that's where people get caught too on it.
You need to walk before you.
Problem.
Well, no, you need to crawl before you walk. You need to walk before you run.
Yeah.
But eventually, you realize that moment. Hey, I just crawled. Well,
once you have that first moment, like I don't know if you meditate. I'm not sure if you do. I know you try, but
I have tried. Yeah.
I would recommend it. I would highly, highly recommend it. Like once it happens that first time where you catch a thought and you watch it float by, like you're meditating and, oh, I forgot to take out the garbage. And before you go, oh God, I didn't take out the garbage. And you start to react to it. Yeah, I didn't take out the garbage. And you come immediately back to what you were doing.
That's it.
That's and that's that first aha moment. And that's it. There's really only one aha moment. People think there's more aha moments. There's really not. It's that one you've noticed now. You keep practicing that noticing. And what happens is that space gets deeper. That space becomes, and at times, yes, it does shrink because we're human beings. Of course it will, but you could easily expand it. Like Like it's like riding a bike. You get on it. Yeah, I got it again. And you could open that space back up, even though it might want, your mind's going to want to shrink it and pull your attention closer at times. But the only way you get there, and this is what I was trying to say, like people can be like, yeah, you guys talk about mindfulness all the time. And this is great. But like, how do I do it? How do I freaking do it?
Practical, yes.
All right. So if you didn't read, if you read the book, you probably get a shitload of tips. If you didn't read the book, that's fine. If you listen to episode 1 to now, God knows we've given you bazillion ways to do it. But if you have it in the last, let's say, maybe in the last 20 episodes,
it's just the first one you're catching.
Yeah, it's the first one you're catching. And maybe last X amount of episodes, we haven't really given a ton of examples. That's how you do it. Meditate. Be mindful of your daily task. You're washing your dishes. And I talked to one of my cousins about this. She goes, I never thought about that. She goes, I'm going to try that. Yeah. She goes, I wash dishes all the time. I go, pay attention to washing the dishes. Not, I got to finish the dishes. Because my mind says the same things. I got to fucking finish these dishes. I'm a pain in my ass. Who wants to do this right now? Okay, feel the soap, feel the temperature of the water, the texture of the soap, the texture of the dish. And that's your only goal. It doesn't mean that the task becomes like, you're like, oh, wow, I enjoy washing dishes all of a sudden. No.
It's a practice.
If you do, that's great. But like, you know what? It doesn't suck anymore. One, like the task becomes way more palatable at that point because you're not engaging in the story and how you hate the task, but you're actually just doing the task and experiencing it. But above all that, the byproduct of that is you're actually becoming, you're practicing what mindfulness is, which is the noticing, the awareness, right? And then you could go deeper into others, so like surrendering to the thoughts, surrendering to things like acceptance, what actually acceptance really means. But like that, before you understand what it means to surrender to something or to accept something, because we can say I accept it, but is your mind telling you accept it? Okay, so my mind says I accept it today, so I feel okay. What happens tomorrow when my mind goes, I don't accept it? I've given this example a ton of times. There are days where, like I said, I don't hear the ringing. And then there's days where I'll hear it. And my mind wants to say, I hear it now. So if I didn't practice mindfulness, I wouldn't understand what it means to accept it and leave it there and bring my attention to where I want it.
Sure.
Right? But if I didn't practice those little skills first,
that's right. This
would be a more difficult thing to navigate without maybe some intervention with help and somebody who's, whether it's a therapist who's, in mindfulness, stuff like that. But if you start doing these things, these small little tasks on a daily basis, making America mindful again becomes a very doable thing.
Yes.
But the goal is to understand that the people who don't want to watch the show because it doesn't jive with them on a cool level, or they feel they don't need it, I would say if you gave it a try and didn't listen to the story in your head when you're doing it, just don't listen to the story. Let it be there, but focus on the task and keep doing that. Over X amount of time of doing it, you're going to start to notice things. You're going to start to notice how you could watch thoughts and emotions float and not grab you all of a sudden. Like, okay, hold on a second. That guy just called me an asshole. And my mind said, I'm going to fucking kick his ass. But I just watched that go by and it didn't grab me. I didn't get it didn't grab my shirt.
You notice.
And you notice
the fact that you notice.
Is it's it, right? That you're, hold on, I can respond to this. I don't have to react to it. But you don't get there. Like, unless you have like I said, we've always said, those people who get thrust into it are very far and few in between. And even those who do usually fall back unconscious because once it goes away, they don't understand how to kind of cultivate it. Once you experience that, you're just going to start to see things on a whole different plane. So, I mean, doing those little things are the entry points, the little portals that, like you said before, how do I open that door? You realize there's no lock, there's no handle. All you got to do is just walk right through. So so do those things. Like, we say a lot of things about becoming mindful, make America mindful again, which is something like I'm very personally, I'm very
passionate.
Is it?
Yeah.
I love the way you dropped that.
I saw you looking for the word.
Passionate. I'm very passionate about. It's something that I care about. I value. Like, I value helping the people around me to see life differently if they want to. If they don't, I don't force it on them. But it's important to me.
I mean, normally I would have lost my cool about the bathroom, the girls' bathroom being, having the water issue and everything. And, And I had a real problem with that. And normally that would just be a consistent thing. Yes. I saw it big time, and I saw it coming, and I was like, why give it in? Why pay attention to it? There's nothing I can do to change it right now. Yeah, I just got to let that go. And then and then before you know it, it really just flies right out of your mind. You know why? You just didn't give it any attention, and you didn't feed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you just let it fly right by. So I noticed that with just recently.
Yeah, I
got to tell you, I felt so much better about it.
And perhaps
you don't get all that baggage that comes with that.
But the good part is you saw it coming. You saw the pitch. You saw it.
No, and
slowed
perhaps
it all down for you.
Perhaps it is a difficult situation.
Yeah.
Perhaps it is an expense that you were not ready for.
Yeah,
and it is, but it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be doubly.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's expensive in the real world, in the pocket, and also emotionally.
It's eating up all your brain energy.
Yeah. So now it's in the real world. I have to pay. Yeah, I got it. But it doesn't have to be double whammy.
So can
or a triple whammy.
Can I use you as an example for a second?
Nope. Of course, man.
Okay, guys, thanks for watching today. I hope you had a great week.
Of course, man.
So use somebody. Okay, you've been practicing for a while,
Exhibit
right?
A.
Right? Exhibit A. Just so people think like, oh, you guys got it made. That's why you don't worry about things. So I'm going to give you a little insight to, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm an open book.
He's an open book. So,
but don't audit me.
No, the IRS doesn't want your show. So so Henry bought a piece of property in Florida not too long ago, right?
No.
Okay.
IRS.
Oh.
Nah, I'm kidding. Yeah. Yes, I did.
Right. And a week after he closed on it,
oh yeah,
a hurricane by the name of Milton, right, came in and flooded the apartment. His insurance wasn't
nope.
Okay.
So it was a 30-day.
So it wasn't even set. Yeah.
He had to foot that bill, right, which would drive people.
Yes.
Okay, so he's been dealing with that.
And you know me, that would have been.
He's got a new career going, right, in real estate. On top of that, on a daily basis, wife, kids, and
injuries.
That's its own thing.
Injuries.
And hold on, and a week ago, here's his meniscus. Under normal circumstances, 99% of the people that I know in my life would have crying, this is the worst, only me, this sucks, this is he has been so masterfully mindful about it that and it's not him, and I don't know if I'm speaking for you, please cut me off. He's not repressing anything. He's not pushing anything away. Yeah. He's not ignoring it like it's not happening, but he's putting his energy that he has into repairing doing what he's got to do with the apartment, focusing on his job, and not taking care of his knee. He's properly getting his resources, his energy, and putting it into places where it's useful for him, while not buying into the story, because I'm sure there's a story in your head. I know
it's pretty shocking.
I'd have a story in my head if that was me. I know I would. Yeah. I wouldn't. Maybe I'd be able to.
You know, there's a story,
Henry. It's shocking to me that you're not more upset than you about your situation. But it's great to see that you're not. But
I let you in to the dark spaces in my thoughts.
Yeah,
because I'm able to see them, and I'm able to not go in that dark hole because come on, I don't want to.
So. If you would have went into that dark hole, life sucks and life this.
What is it going to change?
Exactly.
What does it change?
What would have changed? What, you would be miserable?
No, the reality of it.
You'd be miserable in the same exact place you're in right
now. So instead, he's a more pleasant person around his family, around his friends, around his clients, around his colleagues, while taking care of the things that are happening in life. Not dragging that baggage onto people around him, not suffocating people with the woe is me stories. And on top of it all, not sucking his own energy out and destroying himself in self-sorrow and pity. That's what your mind's going to want to do with you if you're everyday Joe in the street. But if you're a mindful person, like Henry is.
Yeah.
Hold that thought. Don't lose it. Hold it.
Okay. Got it.
Mindful like Henry is, you could navigate them and still appreciate life and find the joy in what you're doing and have the energy and the wherewithal to deal with whatever's coming up in life. And by the way, not be a miserable person. I mean, in other words, the stresses are there on a practical level, but not be a negative, just spewing negativity, because the more you spew it out, what happens? The universe goes, oh, you want to be negative? No problem. I'll make you feel even more shitty about what you're you're dealing with. So props to you, man, because
well, first of all, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Definite.
What is it? You also learn how to take
exercise of mindfulness. Yes. Remember we had that episode on that. Say thank you. Be grateful.
But more importantly than that, which I thank you, but more importantly than that is what we've said in the past is mindfulness gives you capacity
to handle those things.
You have no idea. So I was a guy who would drown a shot glass or even a little glass. Everything was, and you just rattled off a few things, and I have more things going on.
I'm sure. Okay?
We didn't mention the car.
Just broke
my
down.
car rolled over 45 times. I've been shot at.
That didn't happen.
So, a whole bunch of stuff, and you have the capacity
to handle them.
It's incredible.
It becomes as Dr. Stephen Phillipson said, expansion as well, which is part of acceptance commitment theory. Yep. Is expansion means it's a never-ending hole that you could just drop stuff into. There's no bottom to it. Meaning, like the worries that you have, it's not like, okay, I'm at capacity, I can't handle anymore. No, it never fills up. You could handle more and more because you're not attached. You've taken the bottom out of whatever this bucket of negativity or woe is me might be. And it's like, no, okay, whatever happens in life is going to happen. We can't control it, but I have capacity to handle it all because now I'm not attached to this story. You've detached from that story, which is huge, but I love it. Capacity.
Thank you. And he cut you off.
Yes.
Oh, no, it's fine. I just sat and listened. It was
no,
nice.
no. I know you had something to say. So
no, my one point I was going to say was I honestly believe that most people who are what you consider successful in life, who go after the things they want, they don't let anything stop them. They know how to work through their problems. They have that family they want. They have that successful business they want. And so on and so forth. I think those are mindful people, and they honestly just don't realize it.
Yes, that happens. Yes.
Because they don't get bogged down by the little things in life that most people do.
Bob Proctor calls them the unconscious conscious, or the idiot
unconscious.
Something along.
I know what you mean.
Like
the
you
double,
don't know.
Double entendre.
Yeah.
But I'm going to split a hair here.
Yeah.
Bob Proctor is using the let's say the conscious idiot only
it's an oxymoron if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, only to
it's a dichotomy.
Well, only to point to the man's successes in terms of his wealth and enriches.
Practical. Wait, before let me clarify my point on that is that whatever they wanted to be successful at, that was their goal, whatever it might have been. And it may not be wealth. It may be, to be the best offer or whatever it might be.
I love this little pie in the circle. There's a pie in the circle where Bob Proctor, because Bob Proctor, when it's a pizza pie.
Yeah,
it's a slice of pizza.
John's head's going to explode. What do you want to hit me with, God?
I want pie.
It's a slice of pizza in the whole. But
no, there's a lot. There's a ton of truth to that. There is.
No,
it feels like that. I mean, because they just don't let the little things stop them.
But there's always.
They just don't realize that they're using those tools.
There's a yin to every yang. But even though that's true, I was actually listening to a podcast today. I was listening to Eckhart Tolle today at the gym, and he was talking about people who are very.
Maybe they're mindful about the things they want to be mindful about.
Yeah, they're
very narrow.
They're very geared to an ends to a meaning to get that goal. To get that goal, They
may be a complete jerk, though. You know what I mean?
So then they're not. So in the definition of what a mindful, conscious person is, you'd have to go on a case by case basis and say, I'm sure they're very successful people. I
get what you're saying. I totally about the pie but it's a narrow mindfulness, and they're jerk-offs about everything else.
They can be.
You know what I mean? So you're not really mindful.
They can be very geared on, this is what I want to accomplish, and I'm not going to let anything get in my way. And which, by the way, is not a fault. It's a good
quality.
It's a great quality to have, absolutely. But is that person a true mindful, conscious person?
Because let's be honest, most people don't attain their dreams, because it's the smaller things in life that either drive them off course, or they drive themselves off course and not even realize, and say, I can never become an astronaut. I can never do that. And those positive people that turn around and say, yeah, I can. If I really want to do this, I know I could. And then something comes up, their parent dies or whatever it might be. They don't let those little things throw them off their course. You know what I mean?
So there is a baseline of not listen to the negative story in their head so they can focus on what they want to do. But the person who wants to manifest something, which is what they're kind of doing, right? That person's kind of manifesting like, I want to be an astronaut. They manifest it, but how do they manifest it? They don't just tell the universe, I want to be an astronaut. The choices you make every day dictate your reality is going to be, whether you're going to achieve that or not. And what Eckhart was saying today, which I loved, he goes, it's not about actually becoming that thing or achieving that goal. Ultimately, he goes, if you do, it's a cherry on top of your pie, right? It's a procter on top. That's beautiful. He goes, but you could live as if you've achieved that every day of your life. And Joe Dispenza said this, and Bob Proctor says the same thing. Dr. Joe and Bob Proctor, they say the same thing, that you could achieve. In your choices every day, you're manifesting what you want your reality and your future to be. And if it's to be an astronaut, like Anthony was saying, and achieving it, great. But you could be a conscious, aware person and making choices every day that you don't have to. It's not only when I reach that goal am I now content. I'm content here. I'm content here. I'm content here.
I think you went way deeper than my initials. I was scratching the surface a little bit, because they were able to drive out those, and be able to let those thoughts pass. That was very much the surface.
There's a base mindfulness there.
There's linkage.
There is linkage.
100% link. That's why when we started talking, we sprinkled on top some Bob Proctor. We sprinkled on top some Joe Dispenza, because these guys, and Jim Rohn, and geez, there's so many.
It's a deeper level. You guys took that initial thought of mine and then broke it down to those other
it's the
levels, which is truth, but it's just different levels.
It's to show people that you could focus. And I think I even said in the book, but we've said this so many times.
You'd be a better human being as a mindful person, though. That maybe some of these successful people aren't.
Exactly. Well, I always tell my kids, I go, if you want to do something in life, have that goal. Goals are great. I go, but don't make it your destination. It's the direction you're going in, right? Once you make a goal, the final end game, now it's almost like, okay, I'm not content until I can't be happy until I achieve this. Until I make my first $1 million, I'm not going to stop. All right. You want to make $1 million? Great. Good for you. I'm your biggest fan. I'm your number one. Woo, go, Henry, go, Anthony, go, whoever you will go. But along the way, act as if you already made that $1 million, and you're going to enjoy the trip there. So when you get there, it's not going to be like this, I finally made it. It's going to be like on top, because you've been experiencing the beauty of that path and that journey the whole time. That's why it's not even deeper. It's like, look at it this way. You could.
Oh, can I give you a quick example?
Enjoy the journey. Yeah, please.
I'm sorry. It just popped into my head. So I've watched this video and I've watched it numerous times. There's this motivational speaker. I don't remember his name, but he's very recognizable. And I saw this girl, this video of this girl. She walks up to him. She goes, "You know what?" She goes, "I'm going to be somebody someday. You just wait and see, right? And I'm going to get there, right?"
Gary V.
I don't remember his name. You might have seen it. It's a pretty popular video, but he turns to her, he grabs her head and he stops her. He goes, "Hold on a second. You're missing the whole point. You're somebody right
Gary
now."
V. I bet you it's Gary V. It sounds
he
like
goes, "You're somebody right now." He goes, "Don't you see that's the game?" He goes, "I thought I was somebody before I became anybody. That's how I got there.
Yeah.
I believed it
That's
already."
manifestation.
And that's what you're talking about with the money,
Exactly.
Being a millionaire. And he's like, "I already felt I was there." He goes, "Don't you understand that's the game?" And she just like, her eyes, her whole face changed like, holy, I didn't even think of it like that. He's right. And it,
because if you don't,
it was a great video.
Because what happens if you don't get there? It is, because that's so true. What happens if you don't get there?
You're already somebody.
Not everybody achieves. I don't look. Whether Tony Robbins, wherever you are, can say whatever they want to say. Not everybody's going to achieve the ultimate goal, right? It's life happens sometimes, and you don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
But if the choices you make are, and the way you live your life are as if it's already happening, right? And I don't need to get that to feel, and that's what Dr. Joe talks about a lot. I don't need to get that to feel like I'm already worth something. And it doesn't mean I actually act like I have $1 million if I don't have the $1 million, but it's,
some people spend money like that.
Yeah,
though.
well, it's to feel like I'm not waiting to achieve the million to actually have it, to have contentment and peace in my life. If you strip it really down to it's.
Can I bring in
please
a Scott Adamsism?
Oh, there's another one. Yeah. Scott Adams.
Scott Adams has probably no idea that we incorporate his views in a mindfulness podcast. He has no idea.
No.
Because mindfulness is not his thing. He says systems are better than goals. And what we're developing here is a system, not a goal. So your goal is, let's say, the $1 million we're talking about, and you wanted to get there mindfully. Well, the system is the mindful approach. Mix in some manifestation, mix in some, whatever it is that you want to mix in from whatever, hard work ethic, whatever it is you want to mix in. Your system, if it's sound, will let you live a nice life, have a good point of view, and you might pass your goal. Maybe your goal was even short.
Yeah.
Because your system is so good.
The process.
That perhaps I passed the goal. Yep. So not the goal is the destination. No, the system. Mindfulness. Once you have a mindfulness iOS, you realize, wow, I just got capacity. I just got the ability to get angry whenever I want or whenever I don't want. Whenever I want, really. Yeah. Right? I get angry if I want.
Because that's powerful, right?
Because we're human. We're going to get angry.
Or no, you're going to have an emotion that's going to come.
We're going to have the option.
You're going to have the option
to get angry.
to engage the anger or not, which is, probably never.
But
helpful,
we're human.
But, yeah.
But if you have that as a system, as an iOS, you're well on your way. And he goes so far, again, because I brought in Scott Adams, he goes so far because he believes in that power of the subconscious also. He doesn't say it, but
it's there. It's intertwined in what he says.
In his words, you understand. The subconscious is powerful. That's Bob Proctor. I highly recommend you watch Bob Proctor. You have to. I love this guy. Anyway.
The podcast?
Bob,
no,
he died.
He died years ago. He was a businessman who.
But great.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's got a lot of.
Remember that video I sent you of Earl Nightingale? The greatest secret.
Yeah. I made my thing after it. I made my little laminated card that's in my wallet.
So Bob Proctor worked for Earl Nightingale. He sought out Earl Nightingale. He caught his attention back in the day. Anyway, I'm getting diverted. But Scott Adams goes so far.
Very good.
Yes. Yeah. I came back. Scott, I made a left turn and came back.
That was a big Trumpism. It came all the way around.
That's right. That's right. We meander.
Yes.
We meander, and then we come back. And I don't want to forget what I was going to say. Son of a bee. Oh, he says, kind of protect your subconscious. So he goes, if I'm watching TV, let's say I'm watching the news, and all of a sudden the new Farsiga commercial comes on, he goes, I mute it quickly. The reason I mute it is because
it just played in my head, by the way.
Or Ozempic.
And that's
what he's getting at. Yeah.
And he mutes it because he goes, you could be associated with heart attack, diarrhea, diabetic. He doesn't hear that. The words diabetic, diarrhea.
So if he doesn't hear it, it's not in his what? Reality.
Subconscious.
Isn't that amazing?
I don't want to know.
Isn't that amazing? Everything that, and it just goes back to what we've said so many times. Everything that you think is reality is what you've been told reality is. I'm sorry.
You're getting very matrixy.
Every doctor, every person who says this is caused by this has been told to you by a person who says this is not to say there's no cause and effect. Of course there's a cause and effect before anybody tries to oh my God, you guys are talking out your ass. There's a cause and effect. But like he was saying, Scott Adams, if I don't want that into my
brain space,
because there's no, as Dr. Stephen Hayes would always say, the brain has no delete button. Once it's in forever. That's it. There's no forgetting the thought. You might not remember it all the time, but I could trigger it at any point and I can make it come to I could say a word and you're going to sing a song from when you were 7 again. So it's
which is amazing.
So I kind of like that. I don't even want that, which is why guys like Eckhart Tolle say, why do people watch horror movies? Why do they watch these destructive things? Why do we have this destructive mentality? Why do we make things that kind of give the idea give people the idea to be like this? He says, it's not beneficial. We could program ourselves to be a different species if we wanted to. That sounds matrixy, I know, but it's true. If I don't hear that Farxiga commercial, you know what I'm not going to have the side effects in my head of? That Farxiga commercial, or the song that you said, for however you said it,
Farxiga,
right? Or whatever it might be. I mean, it could be any Sky Rizzy. That's another one.
By Menon.
By Menon.
Seinfeld by
Menon. Right? They're all, but they're there because we've allowed them to be put there. Put that with the people around you. If people are toxic, if people are only like that kind of person, yes, sometimes you can't avoid everything, right? I get it. But when you can, why would you want to expose yourself to that? The more you do that, the more the person changes. The more the person changes because their outlook changes, their reality changes, where they see life changes, the lens changes. The person next to them that they could affect, not infect, affect, they start to see life differently. And then and all of a sudden your community, like we were saying before, make America mindful again. How does that happen? It happens by, look at it this way. Pay attention to what you're being fed. Pay attention, and I mean food, but what you're feeding your mind, the input you're giving yourself, to how you're looking at life, to how you're framing your life, to how your stories in your head are saying this is the way your life is. How about you could change that? Not by saying I don't want that thought, but by not giving it the attention it so intently requires from you or wants from you. You don't have to give it the attention. Not that it's going to quiet down immediately, but you put the attention where you want it to be. And if you don't put that stuff in there, like whether it's a pharmaceutical commercial or whatever, like, why Jeffrey Dahmer eat 44 people and why did he kill everybody? Let's make a story about him and let everybody watch it. Okay, what benefit is there? That's not history. History is, okay, this is World War, or these are the textbooks. This is what's happened. That's different, right?
Well, whatever. It's a choice. You can watch it or not watch it. You
can watch it or you cannot watch it.
But people watch it to evoke an emotion.
They do, because people need a fix, and that could be a fix that they need. Mm-hmm. But the fix goes away if you do this. That I can guarantee you. You don't need a fix with this. You don't need that. I got to invoke an emotion. Like, you just watch them when they naturally arise, and you enjoy it if you want. You don't if you don't, even though they hang around sometimes.
So you know how you said Eckhart Tolle says, why do people watch horror movies? Because it's just...
And he said that we're not trying to say horror movies, oh my God, and they should make them and this and that, but...
When you're in the business of curating your subconscious so that you live a certain type of life, why would you watch a horror movie? Right? Scott Adams has no idea about Eckhart Tolle, nothing. No. So what does Scott Adams say all the time? He goes, he comments about everything. So he goes, I'm watching this movie. I don't know if you saw it. Guy. It's ABC movie. He goes, I had to turn it off. He goes, it's just tension. It's the guy's family is kidnapped, and
that's what he said. People want to evoke an emotion.
Yeah, but can I say this? There are people who enjoy that emotion and go for that reason to invoke it on purpose.
God bless. But for people that are actively, consciously trying to curate their subconscious,
I like that, curate.
So that you live a certain type of life.
Well, can I say this? If you are mindful, you take it for what it is.
I'm not interested.
That it's a movie, and
and
I enjoy visiting that emotion for that time period, and then leaving it where in the movie theater or wherever you might be.
He does have a point there.
100%.
Yeah, he does have a point there. But I'll warn this part. While that's absolutely right, if you're a mindful person, you could expose yourself to a lot of things and not attach to them. But your subconscious mind is something you don't control. It's there absorbing in the background. So even a mindful person who exposes themselves to something, they're going to find themselves all of a sudden having urges to want to see more of certain things without even realizing it. Like it's what the subconscious mind will do. So all of a sudden you go from watching, and I know we're using horror movies just as an example, but it could be anything. But you're watching a horror movie, and all of a sudden you're going to want to go online and look at killings or this or that or live feeds of things.
You want a real example? Real.
Yeah, sure.
If every day you work with a colleague who's having marital problems, But you're his soundboard. He likes to talk to you. And he tells you every day about his marital problems. And you don't stop him because you understand I'm his only outlet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you don't stop him. And every day, bro, my fucking wife. Oh, okay. All right. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 10, day 21. Who's your soundboard? Eventually, that's in your subconscious. You might start talking to your wife when you come home. Hey, Billy, he keeps telling me he's having problems. Yeah. And next thing you know, it's going to be a few months from now, and you're going to have a petty argument with your wife. And that petty argument is no longer petty. Now it's significant. What's going on here? What is going on here?
Like from Mr. Deeds, Emilio from Mr. Deeds.
I
says,
understand
sneaky,
what you're
sneaky.
saying. I'm just not buying. I'm not biting on that one. I totally
bite.
understand what
Don't
you mean.
bite.
Though.
Don't bite.
I just think
just no.
So you're saying if it's in your subconscious, it could just sneak up on you. Is that that's your whole point?
Yes, it does, because you start anything that you feed your subconscious mind gets put back out. That's where your thoughts come from.
Again, if we're trying to create a mindful society, that's
not saying you're going to get divorced with your wife. We're just saying how
even the horror film or something like that that you understand. Just because you watched Halloween doesn't mean you're going to go around to a camping site and kill people.
That's not what we're saying. It's not about
correct. But most human adults would know that, and that's why if you're a young kid, you attach to some of these horror films and over and over, you're like, oh my god.
So this is on a
it makes an anxious kid.
This is on a real grand level. And this is what Henry was kind of saying before. I think, like what Scott Adams was saying. Why would I want to input that? Or even Eckhart Tolle says, why would I want to input that? Why would I shut that commercial off? You could enjoy a movie. And again, horror movies was an example that a couple of people did give, and I kind of get it because I'm not. When I watch a horror movie, there's no pleasure in it for me. But I would say, like he was trying to say also with the marital thing, pay attention to when you input something to what the pattern becomes from that something. Not that if you watch Halloween, you're going to become a murderer.
No, that's my point. Like somebody who likes to go to the range and shoot, that doesn't mean you're going to go around the neighborhood shooting people, even though what you're technically doing is intended for one thing.
But go into the range and shooting.
But people used to say to me, you like shooting guns? I'm like, well, yeah, when you shoot at a target, it becomes very sporty. It becomes even though some people look at that as you're a friggin' maniac. Why do you shoot? You like shooting guns?
I wouldn't say people say you're a maniac.
There are people in this country who look at other people like to hunt and like guns and like large safes with guns as complete and utter maniacs. But that doesn't mean that they are.
No, of course not.
That's my point.
What I want to convey to you,
but we're not saying people who watch horror movies are maniacs either. We're saying,
I'm just saying they're not following along with that negative notion.
See, you're creating you're looking at it on a very practical cause and effect. So if I watch a horror movie, I'm going to be this kind of person. If I go to range,
what I'm saying is I don't think there's any harm in it as long as you are an adult who knows that, obviously mindful enough to realize that it's not something.
And this is what I'm saying. People who are very, very like I'm talking mindful, where they see themselves above and beyond their thinking mind. Like they don't attach to their identity. Mm-hmm. There's no urge or want to do certain things. Like I have no urge or want to watch a movie. I get nothing against horror movies. I have nothing against people who go to ranges. I have nothing against people who own guns. Right? It's
you don't
not
have to put a disclaimer.
No, but I put that because if somebody's watching, they're gonna think like, "Oh, John's saying gun." But and I would ask that person, "Do you think you're a very?" And I'm saying mindful is a very vague term. Do you think you're a very conscious, aware person where you could subjectively look at a lot of things and create your own reality and not get brought into certain discussions and not get heated and not buy into every emotion and not buy into every thought, not buy into everything, and be able to say, I watch my mind work, but I am not my mind. People who understand what that means, there might be one out there. I don't know. I've yet to run into somebody who enjoys certain things. Like, and it's not because those things are bad or they're oh my God, horrific things.
No, what I was saying is I must have eaten a
good breakfast.
A good breakfast because my brain is working properly today. Mm-hmm. I can't promise any other day. To go back to Anthony's point, I'm going to bring it back.
Yeah.
So Anthony is 100% on the money. As an adult, I can watch whatever I want. I like it.
Yeah.
where I'm coming from is no judgment, meaning if somebody likes to watch horror movies or even watch, risque movies, whatever it is, I don't give a shit.
Porn.
Whatever. Whatever it is that you like, God bless. But the subconscious is taking everything in. Whether you like it or not,
I gotcha,
it is. Therefore, when I gave you that anecdote of the buddy at work that you're his soundboard, and in your mind, especially as a mindful person, you're doing a good thing by listening. And you're listening. And you're listening. And you're listening. That's penetrating your subconscious in a way that you don't want it to.
Planting seeds. Yeah.
If you had a choice of it, I wouldn't want this there because it has a way of manifesting itself in some way. It doesn't mean it will. It doesn't mean, yep, set your clock to it. No. But so now I rewind and I said, as a person with choices, as a person with unlimited choices, do I want to sit here watching this movie where this little 5-year-old girl is getting beheaded, raped? I'm not interested.
Well,
I'm
I
not
agree
interested.
with that.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying?
I don't want to. I've seen the goriest of stuff, and I don't want to see any of that either.
But I went to an extreme to just to make the point where if I have the ability to curate that yes, that no, that yes, that no, so then when I'm watching a show I like, but here comes with the A1C. Mute.
Ozempic?
Yeah, mute. I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
No, it's Guardian.
Yeah, that's it.
I know.
Jardians.
Guardian.
I don't want to know.
I'm watching Fox.
But look,
every commercial.
But look how we know what it is. That's how well it works. It already implanted itself in your subconscious.
And don't think that your thought patterns don't get affected. And I think that's what we're trying to say, right? Your thought patterns don't get affected in some way, form, or manner by what you put in. Like I said before, and Henry, you said it perfectly. Just because you watch a horror movie doesn't mean you're going to be okay. Just because you go to a gun range doesn't mean you're going to be. We're not linking this is going to happen because of this, or just because you see a pretty girl in a comment doesn't mean you're going to,
right,
or whatever. But pay attention to and like you said, in one way or another, how it manifests, bubbles back up.
Your brain's a giant sponge.
Like he was saying, all of a sudden you find yourself having conversations with your wife about this, and then here comes a thought out of nowhere. My wife's a pain in the ass today.
Yep.
Where that thought might not have been there, and there might not be nothing that's going to happen with you and your wife, or your relationship might not be strained, but you might find yourself talking to somebody and go, you know what, my wife today, let me tell you something, man. She was busting my balls this morning, and without even realizing it. And then you catch yourself go, oh my God, I just became him. He's been doing this to me for a month and a half. Here I am 2 months later, and while everything's okay at home, how did I get here?
What is that? Like
it has a way of math. So people who watch those commercials or do these things or whatever they get involved in, it becomes part of your pool of thoughts and knowledge. And as your mind is trying to put things together, and it says, oh, well, you know what, Henry, why don't you go check this out? Why don't you go click on this and check this out? And why don't you go look at this? And then all of a sudden you start getting this idea, and here comes an insight into this, and maybe you start going deeper. And then you're like, whoa, fuck am I doing? How did I get into this political? I don't care about this. Why am I getting sucked into this? It just naturally happens. But if you input different things, what is your mind going to want to pull out? It's going to want to look for those different things. If I tell you, look around the room and find red, remember the old Tony Robbins one? And your mind's going to find anything that looks like red just to say you found red. It's the same thing.
Well, the most useful thing you're going to pick up from this conversation is,
I don't know,
is this. Ready? Bob Proctor said, if that's true, and your subconscious is soaking it in, flip the pancake around and fill it with the stuff that you want to manifest. So instead of me watching a horror movie, I'm watching.
I like that too.
Business info. How this guy ran his company.
Helpful, useful
things that
beneficial.
If you're driving your life, well, where are we going? Are we going to horror movies, or are we going to what I want to do? I want to lose some weight. Okay, so horror movies. Now let's drive over to
nutritional
workout videos,
nutritional videos.
If you watch enough workout videos, you're gonna want to work out. You're not gonna understand why, but your subconscious is like received enough data. You're gonna work out. I am, yeah. I just feel like you know. And if you keep feeding that wolf, feeding that subconscious, you know what? Where'd that come from? I don't know. Just
Well, it's like marketing 101 also. That's how they get people to buy stuff is by slowly dripping it into your subconscious mind and saying, I want a Coke. I don't know why I want a Coke, but I want a Coke, right? So
yes, sir.
It's the same thing with this. If
you ever watch E.T.?
What you put in.
I know people that used to study by putting stuff on tape and playing it over and over, even in their sleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And there you go. Subconsciously, it starts.
You know how many nights I did that?
It's like a form of hypnosis almost like that.
Yes,
stuff.
it is.
Yeah.
That's Scott Adams.
Yeah.
You know how many nights I did that? I played, I can, well, I was.
You could also go overboard with all that stuff too, right?
You
become input overload also. So, I mean.
Again, if you enjoy this stuff, as I do, I love it. I enjoy it. I enjoy the wonder that is what's going on right here.
I've gone to bed with Eckhart Tolle. His voice of Eckhart Tolle.
I can't get into that like that. He's listening to him in the gym, and I'm like, how are you doing this?
But you know why?
And then I go talk to him, and he gives me the eye roll, like he's in the middle of some, I didn't know, when he's in the middle of probably a sentence that the guy is saying, yeah, what's up?
Yeah, because I'm
yeah, I know.
As I listen to that becomes my reality. Like, I notice how beneficial it is for me. Why wouldn't I want to expose myself to more of it instead of, like, I always have a running joke with my wife. She's like all into these Dateline stuff. She loves that stuff. And we all kind of like, jokingly, we poke fun at her. We're like, oh, mommy wants to see why the wife murdered her husband, stuff like that. She enjoys the story behind it, right? The detective part of it, the mystery behind it.
My wife, Hallmark movies.
All of that. But the more you watch it, also the more your mind wants to watch more of it. So how about you shift and say, okay, what am I getting out of that? Am I learning to become a detective? If so, maybe that is beneficial to me. What do I want to be in life? What do I want to do?
What's wrong with the play? You're losing me on some of this. I just have to be perfectly honest.
There's nothing wrong with it.
I just think I see this. I see no harm in doing certain things that you might enjoy doing.
We're not saying that.
No, I know exactly what's going on.
But I do understand also what you mean, that if you watch things enough, yes, it becomes part of your subconscious. I totally get it. I just don't want that to expand into things like
you're perceiving his notice. Hey, I noticed, as a criticism.
It's not. I said
there's nothing wrong with it.
I don't tell my wife don't watch it.
Nothing wrong with it. You can watch Dateline, do whatever you want.
Yeah, I wanted that to be clear.
But it's what we say. It's realizing that
you will pick up things that will be in your subconscious.
If you watch a certain news station all day long, guess what? I don't care who you are. I don't care. So your subconscious mind is what helps you form your reality quietly in the background.
But it's got to come to the front sooner or later in order for you to use it.
It looks like a big pot. Picture your subconscious as a big pot. You throw everything in, and then things just pop up out of it. But the more onions you put in, the more onions are going to pop up. Yeah. The more tomatoes you in, the more tomatoes are going to pop up.
That's good,
right? That's what your subconscious is what am I putting in and what am I popping out? So like when I was going through my OCD ordeal and I was experiencing all these intrusive thoughts, the more I gave attention to those intrusive thoughts, the more my subconscious mind was like, okay, hold on. John's giving me more data. He's looking up information why he's not like this, and he's trying to justify this. Okay, so now we're going to give him reasons. The reasons could have been good or bad. It just starts throwing shit up. So I kept engaging a behavior which was causing my mind to give me more of something that I didn't really want. That was just in a clinical, psychological realm, right? So, but again, take it out of there and do all the things we're talking about. What you put in is what it's going to give you out. So if you watch a certain thing all day long, and it has nothing to do with a news station, but if you watch a certain news station all day,
100%,
or you Google and you follow
about that often
all day, what happens is your mind's going to be like, well, I want to know more about this, and I want to know more about this, and I want to know more about
your
this.
Algorithm.
And it becomes your algorithm. Right?
That's exactly what it is. Your brain's instead of meta doing it for you, you're
Isn't
doing
it
it
funny
yourself.
how we created a system that works just like our brains?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. That's that's a great analogy. How your subconscious
Becomes an algorithm.
moving algorithm where ingredient X comes in and it shifts. An ingredient Y, and it's like a continuous algorithm. That's a good way to.
The more puppy videos you watch on Instagram, the more puppy videos you see on Instagram.
Well, that's what made me think of it. That's a big topic of discussion now with TikTok and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's the more
who gets to set the algorithm?
Well, you do.
Yes, but that's my analogy to the government setting it up.
Oh yeah, but you have no control.
Or a company setting it up.
You have no control over them. Yeah.
So you get to set your own algorithm.
But I'm saying for you,
you set your algorithm.
That's my point. My point is you get to set it instead of someone else.
So, hence why if I'm setting my own algorithm, I don't want to watch the movie, the horror movie. I don't want to watch that. I don't want to hear that, and I stay away from things that I know are going to alter my algorithm in a way that I don't want it to be altered.
Good, man. That's good.
And everybody's different.
Yeah, everybody's different. That works for you. That's
no
great.
Criticism.
Yeah.
No, that's not.
Well, that's
no
what I'm saying. It
criticism.
works for you. You know.
But if there's things in your life that you're not 100% content with, or maybe you don't like that,
make a change.
You're so attached to something. I pause, take a look back. Why am I so attached to this thought pattern? Why? Look back and see, is it something that you've exposed yourself to constantly, right? People say you pick up habit. Like if you have toxic parents, or toxic family members, if you're not aware of what's going on, you slowly can become a toxic person yourself, because that's an environment you're surrounded by. It doesn't happen for everybody, but the possibility becomes greater that might be a reality in your life, which is why, people who are toxic, I would say if they're toxic and they don't want to change, and the best thing you could do is to remove yourself if you can, because there's no benefit for you to be around that person anymore. If that person doesn't want to, all they want to do is suck you and your energy and suck your energy.
You caught my eye.
Don't put a comma in there, bro. Better watch your punctuation.
I'm trying to say.
I almost said, where do I sign up?
Yeah, there was a lot there, but there's a lot to be said for everything that was spoken about in today's episode. And whether you agree with a lot of some of the things we said, again, there was, like Henry said, there's no judgment against any of the things that somebody might be interested in doing. We just say, pay attention to the ramifications, or pay attention to how it shifts and how your reality starts to change the more you expose yourself to a certain thing. That's it.
If you're trying to live a mindful
life.
That's what Christianity says about pornography.
I want peace. All I want is peace.
They keep on watching stuff like that, and it's no good for you.
Well, yeah.
No, that's that same kind of concept.
Yeah, yes, that's.
Want to be a better person? Then don't watch that stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of other things that you can do besides that to make yourself a better person.
I'm just giving one example.
But if you want your reality to look different, pay attention to what you're putting into every day. Pay attention to what you're putting into it. So yeah, no judgment on anybody. It's just a noticing of. But yeah, make America mindful again.
We were wading into slowly going towards a nice topic that I love, which is hypnosis. We're slowly jumping on hypnosis, but
it is. That's what we did talk about that in a way.
I was.
Don't hook.
No, we don't have time to go.
Yeah, exactly. No,
it's going there.
Association. So when you associate one thing with another because you had an experience, and it kind of cemented itself, and then all of a sudden, when you smell that smell again, it reminds you of the time that
if I smell something, I could go back to
chestnuts.
Brooklyn, Sicily.
The
chestnuts and the holidays for me. Yeah.
Anyway,
if you want peace in your life, surround yourself, immerse yourself in things that are peaceful.
Curate.
If you don't, I say the more we put out of this thing is the more the universe will give us of that thing. It's just the way it works. Yeah, curate. I like that. Curate it. It's very artistic.
Yeah.
Curate it.
All right, take care.
Cut it.
Hit the button before he comes up with something else.
Thank you for coming. There's one thing I want to tell you.
Jesus.
Thank you for coming, guys.
Cut it.
You won't see the whole version of this, but there'll be another version. All right. Have a great week. Peace.
That's
The insights and discussions that we speak about on our show are our own opinions and based on our life experiences. If you or someone in your family or someone you know is suffering and in need of help, please get them that help through medical attention or seeking proper therapy. Again, what we speak about are based on our experiences and not intended to be taken as a form of therapy. Thank you.